Okay. All right, let's talk about everything that we looked at in last session here. So just recapping from Saturday. So Saturday would have been, what was that, the 6th? So, okay, so we were on the 6th. Oopsies, that back. Saturday would have been the 6th. I know we were around here. We were talking about um, what levels it can go to up in this range. So obviously we had a bunch of different targets there that we were looking at. And actually, I deleted the levels and I can't undo them. That's okay. You guys remember the levels. Anyways, we had this right here as breaking part of the move. And we looked at a couple different scenarios about this being the origin and then this turning into the next origin that we had, because it's 1 hour and leave the 1 hour backside there. Right. Yes, it was. Okay, good. Because we got a 15-minute origin level, which always one time frames up. So this is technically a 1 hour backside. So if you were to simply just add that 1 hour level back in, you'd see something along the lines of this, although it's already getting hit there and there at the same time. You have this as a 1 hour frontside hold, and then the 15 slightly below it as well, which I don't even know if it's worth marking at this point, because you know what, if you have both levels and you're going to go like this and you're going to say 15-minute gets hit here, it also gets here, why in the world over less than $10 here would you ever risk missing a trade? So why not just take the 1 hour? And at that point, you know, your 1 hour is also there. So you're really looking for a trade here, or you might even want to be comboing a level to here at the very bottom of the range, your next time frame down. So this is as far as I'm going to take it on this, kind of just fill in the blanks from what I took off from Saturday session, and that's really what we're looking for, kind of it. And so we talked about this hitting this part of the move, but really going after this deeper part of the range here, measuring the difference here, 15%, and kind of covering all the way to the bottom. It was a really great scenario because you take this trade kind of almost no matter what, and it's a very safe trade before you hit the final part of the range. And discussing the final part of this range as the best part of the move, where you know you can cover everything within a percentage. So really looking at all of these trades, and um, even this part of the range here was such a small difference. Yeah, 5 minute of the range here, and they're all trades where this down to trend obviously doesn't make sense. So you would never be there coming out further here than go after trend and measure that difference as you go on a little bit. You know, if you were to get to sometime last night or whatnot, you've got all levels covered on 27%. Not much more you could go under. This is like a no liquidation scenario where the trade would make sense. So we're just going to kind of walk through this, and then we're going to look at today and what we expect for today. Going to hit play here. Let this go up a bit. Obviously, it hit our 1 hour hold level again, the reverse that we were thinking about. So that was perfect. Hit that level. Does end up going and hitting this 1 hour. So maybe not quite hitting the 5 minute there, but regardless, I don't think I take the 1 hour there. Like I was saying that before, although it ends up being a good trade. This covers all scenarios, so you're kind of just delete this level, and you're left with those two levels. So in any scenario here, you're in profits, and the trade, it makes sense. So let's just continue. This is really what happens, right? You just bounce off that backside, deep dive that hourly body, and the backside continues to hold. And this is exactly what you would expect. You would exactly expect that backside to be hit. You know, 1 hour front side, 1 hour backside, just following that trail of levels, and goes up to our target. Hits target again, which was that 4 hour level that we were trying to create, that 4 hour OG that we were trying to create. So does hit that nicely, and then we're gonna go down here. Let's play out a bit. Let me take a look here. Hits that 1 hour again, reverses it, goes all the way up to our next level here, which is our 15-minute level. Ladder off this, it hits the 15. That's fine. Everything is great so far. All things equal, at every level that we want to hit. You know, next thing up here would be possibly like a 1 hour origin. I don't remember if we marked this one, but you know, this is one that you like to deep dive past, and that's fine. So anyways, continuing on, and you move right back down to that backside again. So that backside, like we were talking about, if that backside continues to hold in this move, that backside represents your hourly backside hold level. So you will be trying to target something on the top as well of equal strength. Now, I'm not going to dissect all this. I don't think there's a point to dissect all this. We did that in our last session. But what I do think is that we just on and take what's going on here. So then you get to exactly, and let's maybe break this down to a small time frame. You get to exactly the levels and the ranges that we were talking about here. And I think a big part of this trade is understanding that this backside needs to hold up to start targeting hourly information. So we're just going to delete that hourly hold level had already been hit prior to hitting that backside level. You held the move, like if you take the replayer back to about here, you hold the move, you hit this hourly, you bounce off that backside hourly, and then you start to ladder above it. And that's really where you see that there's no point in going after this anymore. Hit it, you ladder the 15 back, which is the hourly, you start going above it, you hit the 4 hour. At that point, I think that's something we need to talk about. Go back to this right here. And we need to realize that with this 4 hour level being hit right here, you really need to also hit a 4 hour on the bottom side. And there's no 4 hour here. Your 4 hour is actually right here. So you really need to be targeting, oopsies, you really need to be targeting this as a potential 4 hour level that can turn into an origin. So it's like once you hit this, you've laddered, let's logic flow for a second. You've got an hourly here, hits a 4 hour. The 4 hour should equate to the bottom side, hit the 4 hour on the bottom side, and then be able to either Pandora's box between these two. So that's the first outcome. You hit this level down here, you Pandora's box, right? And you can go forward a few candles, and it doesn't do it. And the point of that is that you hit this level, you've got an equal proposition on both sides. You're just Pandora's boxing, mirroring. When you hit a 4 hour level here, and you've got hourly information holding you up right here, you're still laddering up. Very straightforward. This time frame isn't enough to stop yet, and that's how you're seeing this thing up. So now let's kind of walk through candle by candle. So we hit the 4 hour. You never really go back down. You actually just straight up hold a 15-minute level here. And I don't even, maybe there's an hourly here. It also holds an hourly, combos to the 5. There's nothing else there. Maybe there's, or to the 15, maybe it even hits a 5-minute. Yeah, it does. It bounces off this 5-minute level twice. Irrelevant. The only thing that matters is it's not a 4 hour level. It's not a 1 hour origin. It's not a 4 hour level. There's nothing there that actually stops this thing from creating a Pandora's box or a mirroring situation. So you're instantly going to be going up to a higher range, which just gets you to on top here. So this should be pretty straightforward so far. This should be pretty much where you.
Hello?
Sorry, guys, I lost internet connection there. Everything dropped out. I'm back. So yeah, anyways, your 4 hour gets hit. You go after these same levels that just aren't the 4 hour on the bottom side. So you know you're going to be moving up. Like it's there's not much more to this. If you don't hit the 4 hour, you're still laddering up, right? So continue on in the move. You hit your 15-minute hold level there, which just ladders this as a reverse. It's perfectly fine. If this continues to hold the move down, I think that's where you can expect this to stop and start moving down. You do hit a daily here as well. So now you're kind of in the scenario where you do have to start going after that bigger information on the bottom if this holds it down, right? So daily trend, it's not quite hit. It's not quite hit. It's not even really a daily trend actually. I believe that was in that moment a 4 hour trend. I changed the color, but anyways, whether it's the daily or not, like you still have a 1 hour holding this up here, and you still have your daily here. You have this daily here, which turned into daily after. So let's actually delete this and just put it back after, because that isn't actually what got hit. That was created after. And then so you have a 15-minute level holding this down. So if you've got a 4 hour that broke the move and couldn't hold it down, all of a sudden a 15-minute level does. You can expect this thing to sink pretty quickly because you've got 4 hour level being propagated by the 1 hour. All of a sudden, it's kind of reversing that same idea that if a 4 hour can't hold it down and you start laddering, well, you're moving up still. So that's a clear long, right? If you're in the same exact scenario where you've propagated this up by a 1 hour, but a 15-minute starts holding it down. Well, if a 15 minutes holding the hourly down, you can expect this to sink and fail. Just for the simple fact that, it's almost like strength versus strength in a way, right? It's what your levels are telling you. So you get exactly that happen, and you start to sink down to the lower part of this move, ladder off that hourly. So now you're, scenario where it's 15 to hourly. Straight forward here. And then you start going down to these lower ranges, right? You start going down to the lower ranges of the 4-hour level, just slightly front runs it. I mean, the move's not done, so we kind of continue. It's a nice little bounce here. I think it was yeah, I was watching it when it was happening. It's almost 1% there. Keep moving down, and this is where you start being able to see those moves, right? Like you hit this 4-hour pretty nice and cleanly. And this is that same scenario where we talked about in the last trade, like what becomes safe here for RA. Like you can cover everything on a 14% spread here. You cover the entire trade on a 14% spread, and really what you're looking out for is the hard close of your level, right? Like, so if you were to take this trade on that 1 minute level that covers all 3 levels, you can see that you take the trade, this level is done, you've got your hold level here, it hard closes, you should be out of this trade. You should be out with a small profit at this point, because this trade is no longer worth it. I think the only thing that you could have done different is if you took this level, you could use the hard close of this as a trigger to protect your trade. So you bounce here. If this hard closes, you get out of your trade and you take your couple percent. And when this hard closes here, you just get out of your trade. So at this point here, you've got kind of a 10% buffer. At this point, you've got maybe a 5% buffer. But either way, you know that you've got your level here and it's hard closing below. So unless you start creating something, and so this trade here, I would be out of this trade. So let's take that off the book. I'd be out of this trade. This next trade, unless you actually create a hold level here, I would not be in. Yeah. See, unless you create a hold level, like you've got to get out of that trade there, right? And then if you haven't gotten out of it, at least your losses are diminished to, even if you market close here, they're less than 10%, or if you got out up here, it's all the same. But you see, there's not like this is a failing trade. Like it's time to get out of the trade. And then you see it just goes right down to exactly what we were talking about. Let's talk about where it went, right? Your one range, your second range with the hourly. You've got the 15-minute that stopped the move, hitting the hourly. So like even if you took the trade there, even at the highest level to cover the entire range, that was the thing about this trade. If it sunk right here, this can't be worth it because you're talking about a liquidation. Right here, you're talking about a liquidation. Even if it starts to become out around this area, yeah, you're 39%. What if it deep dives to go and reverse this right here? Maybe some reverses something here, or slightly ladders above this. You start getting into this trade here, and a slight ladder. This could be a liquidation. You're very close if it hits it, or if it reverses here, or there's too much risk. But we got to a point, just like we talked about in the last video, where this is actually covering the entire spread of the trade. So that's 44%. To the body of the candle a little bit. And so you're covering the entire trade here at 16% and even 25%. Like this becomes a smart trade. If you want to go a little deeper, you can. If you really think it's going to hit that hourly trend, you can. I think the only thing that you could have garnished here from that is go for the hourly trade or the lower level, for the simple fact that it held by a 15. So you really actually do want to hit this hourly, because that hourly is going to take the trade. Let's call it let's say it's going to take it north, right? It's going to go up, and it goes right back to that 15. So you can see where these trades are intrinsically connected, because you've got the hourly here being offset by the 15. Just like this hourly was offset by this 4 right here. This 4-hour move should have broke this down. It didn't break it down. It laddered it. So the 4 hours collapsing, which is pretty straightforward there. It's hourly level. The 4 hours should stop it, so it shouldn't ladder the range. If it does ladder the range, well, guess what? This ain't there anymore. You just delete that off your chart, and you're just like, oh, no, well, that's not going to happen. That the 4 hours gone, we're still moving up. So you've still got hourly information in this trade. And if the 4 hour can't stop it, then maybe the daily needs to stop it. Oh, but hold on a second. The 15 actually stopped it. So that's where you can see how moves start to reverse in the moment. When you're looking at range to range, that's where, if you understand that, I don't want to call this +1 -1, because it's really not, but it's very close to it. It's not +1 -1 in the fact that there's a +1 -1 to every trade, but it is time frame relevant to say, okay, well, if a 15 stops this move and an hourly stops that 15 above, Well, that's exactly expected. A 15 to an hourly, your one time frame difference. This is still laddering in that same direction. So if a 15 held it up and an hourly stopped it on top, okay, guess what? It's still laddering on the bottom. But if an hourly on the bottom held it up and a 15-minute on the top, like this scenario, stopped it, well, that hourly is failing. So now you need something else to offset that 15. So this failed. So that's no longer there once this gets hit. That fails. That's no longer there. Now you have an hourly on the bottom that can stop and reverse the trajectory of that. If it hit a 15-minute level, your Pandora's boxing. If it hits an hourly, you're going up higher, right? And so I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happens. Kind of go up higher, and that's exactly what happens, right? Like this range here is dictated by a 15. So when you take this thing back and go here, this range is being held by a 15. It's going to take an hourly or higher to stop it. The hourly level hits, so you can assume that unless this ladders the move, so the only thing you can do now is say, like, where's my 15-minute hold level? Like, this is a backside right here. Where's a 15-minute hold level? Does this ever get hit? It does. Okay, that one's gone. That's gone. We can't use that anymore. Okay, and that next is here. Let's see if we can just go backside, just out of protection. So, like, this has to stop that move. That hourly has to stop here, right? So let's just see. Oh, shoot, that's hit. No, it's not hit, actually. It looked hit. It's not hit. Okay, that's fine. We can just continue on. And it just soars right through. Oh, actually, I made a mistake. This is the backside. And this would be your front side here. Backside, front side. So we can even just use the backside as the kind of final moment. Like, obviously, this is broken. Got to get below this next if you're going to continue to. So far in the move, actually, this is looking like it's going to fail. But you also need to gain this move down. You also need to gain a 15 because technically the hourly hits the 15 again. The 15 is holding it down, laddering the move. So actually right now it's good. If you shorted here, you're kind of in a good scenario. Okay, there's your 15-minute level. Okay, well, okay, so now we're here. That's fine. Just, or even this one right here. Up. Backside here. You've still got front side here. That's fine. That's gone. Your next ladder point. Like, these are getting to be some pretty serious wicks, right? And that's it. You never get to go below any of these 15-minute ladder points. Right here, you attempted to go below it and it held the move and then it just shot straight up. But this should be pretty obvious as to why, if you're looking at this trade right now, why when you have ladder here, ladder goes here, which then creates this one here. This should be pretty straightforward why, you needed to get underneath this 15 level right here. If you don't get under this, clearly that's the wrong one. Clearly this thing is going to just go straight up. So you do see how it tried to gain the move. It refused to gain it, and then it just rips right over it. So this is all pretty great to see after going through this session in our last lesson, and then coming up and seeing how it's just going straight up after new targets. I guess it hits the weekly level. I haven't even actually looked at this yet. Hits the weekly level here. What happens next? Struggling with that weekly level. So that's where it's at right now. It's trying to break the weekly trend, right? And so you've got your weekly trend here that's from way back, wherever, your range trend. So it's trying to break the range trend to get to the top of the range. So, like, I'm just going to delete this real quick for a second. And it's trying to break that range trend to get up into this area here. It's trying to use that to get up. That's pretty much where you see the entirety of this trade go, right to the weekly level. Everything is explained and accounted for one-to-one. Time frames make sense. We've got our 15-minute backside here that held the move to a 4-hour. That 4-hour couldn't hold it, so it went higher. But then a 15-minute held an hourly. The 15-minute offsets that hourly, goes down. Oh, we need actually our hourly trend here. 15-minute holds that hourly. Right? That 15-minute holds this hourly here. That offsets the 15. The 15 ladders again as if it's going to go down. If it had gone down, you would need to start looking for 4-hour information. Might be down back in an origin over here, reversing this or whatever. We don't need to worry about what it would be. But, just the first thing I see on my screen, maybe this is a 4-hour origin that would have laddered reverse. And then you could have had your interior trend there to there. And once that breaks, this 4-hour breaks. Looking to create a 4-hour trend off a 4-hour origin, which would be daily. 4-hour trend breaks, and only the daily could hold it, which and beat this, but that wouldn't likely hold because something different, smaller in the range, and so like everything is accounted for 1-to-1 with what we looked at in the move on the 6th there on January 6th, right? Like it's all everything plays out exactly as we wanted, so it's perfect, and that's where your kind of exist and come in. And now looking at today, so that's the catch up there, and I think right now honestly, this delete this these. You just start looking at what are your possibilities now. So now we can keep that daily. That's fine. That's going to be hard close. That daily staying above this will be a pretty important. Oops, remove that. Staying above that will be pretty important. You're going to have your daily trend here, which will break the move. So let's say hopefully we stay above this. We create this daily. Start to look at what is going to be. This entire thing is held up by an hourly. So right now we have the information to tell us that everything is held up by an hourly. So the first thing we need to do is look at our bigger time frames. Like what can break this thing down? Well, you've got a 4-hour OG here, which is equal to the daily. So you've got a 4-hour OG. Let's start by adding this. Got a 4-hour origin there. You've also got this as hold level and one. That's a reverse, turning into an origin now if it hits one more time. So if it rejects this one more time, that's an origin. It's going to be a big daily rejection with weekly, right? So you got weekly plus daily there. So that's one interesting thing to see. We can get rid of here. We can get rid of the 4-hour. We can get rid of 1 hour. Let's take a look at this 1 hour. So that was never actually an origin. It just ended up being a break level. So it's not actually anything that we need. Here is where you're going to have your 4-hour hold up, right? So if this is hitting a daily, I think your best scenario here, and I'm just honestly going to delete this because I don't know what kind of information. You know what? I'll keep it. I'll keep it because it can represent. It's already hit, bounced off of. The daily can represent the weekly level. So it actually could bounce between that trend, which I think yeah, that trend. I was going to say, I think I should add another trend, but no, I don't think I want to use an interior trend. I was going to add an interior trend here to here, but it's not usable right now. So you might bounce between this trend and this level. And then if you do, so a scenario that's going to come up is you bounce from here to daily level here, right? Maybe you go like this and hold this back forward, or maybe you just bounce straight off that. But anyways, they're going to be equal, right? Like this is equal to this, so that's fine. You may end up Pandora's boxing here to here and seeing if this range can break up. Like that could be a scenario where you end up seeing another week of action where it holds this and breaks the range up, which would be a pretty impactful moment because you're breaking an interior weekly trend. Like this is a pretty big moment here, right? So that's something to keep an eye on. But right now, what we do know is we've got a 4-hour here, which is equal to the daily. We have got a 1-hour rate. I don't think we have any 4 hours. Let's double check. Single. You have it right here. Those are a few possibilities. You've also got your 4-hour down here. You've got the 4-hour level here. Really, right now, we should just be paying attention to the bigger. That's kind of it. You should just be paying attention to the bigger time frames. I think staying above this weekly is pretty critical. For that reason, I don't want to use this 4-hour because I think that staying above this as weekly strength will be critical to Pandora's boxing this level right here. So that's your kind of one scenario. This is a 4-hour level. This is a 4-hour level. This is a daily level. So we have a weekly. If it goes all the way down here, offsets this daily and comes up, well, I think you can start to expect this breaking up. So I think there's actually quite a few levels. This is a daily, this is a 4. I think all of these 3 levels, no matter which you hit, start to break this weekly trend. And I think that's where you can, with the exception of this one, this one here is going to kind of equalize it and just bounce back and forth. But again, if you hit this without hitting the lower 2 levels, now you're just Pandora's boxing. So they almost all 3 of them create the same outcome, because if you're going to Pandora's box, what's going to happen is you're going to come down, you're going to hit this, you're going to go back and forth between this. You're going to create some kind of like 4-hour hold level here, 4-hour hold, or maybe it's a 1-hour. I don't know. It depends how fast it moves. But eventually, let's say these are 4-hour levels. Well, actually, let's even just say they're 1-hour levels. Eventually, you're going to have like 1-hour levels holding this up. You've got a 1-hour level here. It gets held by a 15-minute level. Well, guess what? That's breaking down. Or it gets held by a 15-minute level, and then down here, a 5-minute level holds this, and that would actually break this, which breaks that, which then Can you go here and create a 4-hour level, and then that would hold that 4 or daily, and then that would move it up. So you can see how it's going to become a game of time frames right now of like what gets created, what gets tested. We have weekly to weekly. So let's see what happens there first, even if you hit the hourly, even if you, oh, I should say the 4 there or the daily here, which is actually shown as the hourly or the 4. Even if you either of those, they're still going to show you like, hey, you've gotten back over top of this Pandora's box. Really staying above any of these ranges is much going to accomplish almost the same thing, attacking the top side of that range. So this is really interesting because now we're lucky. We get into a game of, we know how low this thing can go. Where are the levels that are going to hold this thing up, right? You've actually already hit the weekly and the daily. So actually, technically, you're already in a Pandora's box, right? You're technically already in it because you have hit it. It's just happening very quickly. So now would be a cool thing to kind of go through and start saying like, okay, well, what do we have? So let's start from the hourly. Obviously, I don't think we have anything hourly here. Did that even hit? It looks like it might not have. It didn't. So let's actually go to the 15. Do we have 2 blue candles anyway? 15? We do right here. So we actually have an hourly level right here. We actually have an hourly level right there, bottom side, and a 15-minute here, which is holding that hourly level. So it's like, oh, we're moving up, aren't we? Sweet. Let's keep going. Let's see, is there any hourly levels here? We actually tried to gain the hourly level off of hitting, hourly level here, 15. I'm gonna color code this properly. I almost got confused there. So you got an hourly level here. You got a 15-minute here, which also rejected this hourly gaining. So I think a pretty important moment right now would actually be creating this as an hourly hold level, and then you may be stuck between these two levels. You got 5 minutes. You may be stuck between this and this, and you actually may be Pandora's boxing this entire range off these two right here. But what I do know right now is that a 15-minute level is holding this up, and I don't necessarily think that that's the end all be all. I think you can have like a 4-hour level created right here off of this, which would be a good target to create a 1-hour trend with a 4-hour hold if you can continue to go and interior range trend this to there and create that 1-hour level. But for now, we're not even down there. This thing might just keep up. But that would be possible creation of a 4 in the future. Hourly rate here. Could this ever be anything? It's not even an hourly. It's actually a 15. Wow. So it's actually just a 15-minute level. There is no hourly there. So 15. Yeah, this thing looks like it's breaking up still. We may pull back a little bit, but from what I'm seeing right now, you've got an hourly being offset by a 15 with an hourly being created here as support. So, this hits here, this bounces here and starts to ladder against it, and you're going to have a pretty solid breakout here, right? So I think that's the way you have to interpret this range today and look at this to get as much information as you can, because at the end of it, you've hit a daily and you have a weekly, and with this daily you need to offset it with a 4. So like the only thing you can do is gain this 4-hour level here. So this may be a good target for a long. Is this 4-hour actually could be a pretty decent target for a long, this 4-hour. Oh man, it's so close to being hit. It pretty much bounces 4 to 4 here. I think you deep dive this a little bit and gain it back. I think you deep dive it to the hourly, which is also 15 minute. I just want to make sure this is also an hourly here. It's not the 15. I keep color coding them incorrectly here. 15. Yeah, that's not an hourly. That is an hourly, but this is looking for a 4-hour level. So with this looking for a 4-hour level, if it can't reach one, the move's broken up. If this can't reach a daily, which it actually already did. So this has done this has done its job. It's actually already hit weekly to weekly. So that's fine. So we actually don't need to account for this or this at the moment. We can write those off. I'm keeping them on my screen, but we can write them off, and we can actually account and move this up to now looking for a daily being offset by a 4. And so as a minimum, you can't even get any origin levels. Like there's not a lot here. This thing kind of just ripped out of its mind. I guess as a minimum, you hit this daily right here. This daily hold right here is the only thing you have left. So if it doesn't hit this, it's breaking up. This is really what we're trying to focus on is the scenarios where so it hits that, goes down to that, hits this 4. I think this is where you actually enter your trade, the daily hold level right there, and then you create your trend off of that and you start creating a trigger if you even get there. But I think this is where that 4 hour will target this daily right here. And that gives you your ladder point to here. So when you're looking for levels down here and you're saying, well, there's nothing there, well, there's the date. You have to understand what got hit in order to what to target, right? 4 hour level gets hit here, which is the OG. Is it even an OG yet, or is it just a hold right now? Actually, I didn't even check that. It's just a hold level. We're not there yet. This has to hit one more time. Right now, it's actually just a 4 hour level. So we either hit another 4 hour level because we're not at the OG yet, which is this, or 4 hour backside down here, or the 1 hour OG. Don't have yet. But I really like actually just targeting this still. This is not an origin yet, but oopsies, need to redo that. This is not an origin yet, but if this hits, you can expect it to go after at least an origin. So you get into a trade here, right? You target it to the top of the move. You have a minimum 2% trade, and then it could possibly break the move further. But if it holds it down, you've got an easy exit. The only thing here is that your daily can go all the way back. This backside, front side gets hit all at the same here. I wouldn't go all the way down to this. Otherwise, I'd be looking at a different part of the move down here. And I would be saying, okay, well, backside can get hit here, which is also a 4 hour OG. So that's going to also be your daily backside. So, but it's a combo backside. Like it's both backsides, both just by itself being two candles as red connected, and also being a 4 hour origin. It's all just a daily backside. So there's two parts of this where you have to make a decision. Are you playing above this ladder point here, internal range, because it's breaking up, or are you playing the lower part of that backside hourly level, right? Like, are you playing this piece of it right here, which is level, which is also the 4 hour origin? I can keep that there. We don't need this. So that's the daily. We're just, because they're all kind of intersecting there. So do you play this as the level, or do you play this as the level, right? So I think if you stop here, you're going back up to their minimum. So I think that's an easy 2% trade. I think that's a pretty straightforward 2% trade. I think you can take a trade there, and if it doesn't instantly bounce off, you just get out. But if that bounces, the move pulls it, you've got a trigger point if you want to go for the longer play to the range. So you've got on trading view. Okay, trading view. There we go. So you've got now to consider that trigger can be into your next that interior range there. So now you've got this move. You either have 2% to here and you take your profits, or you use your green trend that we are creating as a trigger for the bigger trade up into these parts of them, right? So you've got a 2 or possibly 10+% trade. And I think you have to make that decision in the moment. You have to look at timeframes of what's happening. You have to look at is it a 15? Did it create an hourly hold level? Is it laddering up time frame? You have to look at all these different things, but this acts as the trigger to this trade. So you either have 2% to there, or you have a much bigger trade going forward. So I think that's just really the decision you have to make, and hopefully it even gets there. This thing is actually, it's being offset by a 15 right now. That's pretty. Oh boy, like you gain this hourly. An hourly offsets this. Like if you gain this go up, you might want to try to rebuy this hourly, because you've got an hourly here that already actually is laddering the move. So if this holds, if it holds, which it looks like it's already not holding right now. 15 already held. I don't know, maybe it will. Maybe it'll just move up. Let's just assume it's going to move up from here. So you get, you hit this hourly and then you move up to here. Maybe this is a good rebuy to try to attempt that, because I don't even know if you end up going down here if you start creating hourly time frames this close to a 4, which is a daily that's offsetting a 2 time frame difference. So that's how I'd be looking at this today. Risk assessment wise, I think I'm not going to get into an RA where you're measuring each level. I think this is a unique scenario where I would probably just take this as the ladder point for this 15, see if it can establish. I wouldn't be measuring RA down to here. I think once you get down to those levels, I'm not convinced that you actually have a range that goes up. You may create something that has to go down one more time before going up, right? But you start getting over this and backside test this. You've got hourly hold levels attacking a daily. Like that's pretty insane. Like this thing is wanting to move. If it does that, like it's wanting to move up.